It began with something as simple as a dead telephone battery. James had simply completed work late and changed into rushing to seize the ultimate teach home. His telephone had died hours in the past. No charger, no way to name a cab, no manner to test the teach agenda. The station changed into almost empty, dimly lit, and eerily quiet. As he appeared around for assist, he spotted a person sitting alone on a bench, scrolling through his smartphone. James hesitated for a moment, but approached. "Hey man, sorry to trouble you," he stated. "My phone's useless. Should I simply borrow yours for a second to call my wife?" The person appeared up slowly. He had faded pores and skin, worn out eyes, and an expression that didn't pretty suit the moment. However, he nodded silently and acceded over his smartphone. James took the device, opened the keypad, and instinctively hit the green name button, awaiting the final dialed quantity to be something latest. But in preference to a dial tone, a video began gambling. He iced over. The video became darkish at the beginning, blurry pictures from what gave the look of a live move. However, because it centered, he noticed something that made his blood run bloodless. It was himself, in a casket, surrounded by means of human beings crying. The camera panned across his spouse, his sister, even his co-workers. A clergyman stood at a podium, turning in a eulogy that made James need to scream. He was an awesome guy. Left too soon. Long past earlier than all of us should say goodbye. James's hands commenced to shake. "What is this?" he whispered. He regarded up at the man, but he become gone. Just disappeared. Coronary heart racing, James dropped the smartphone. It clattered onto the concrete. He looked around. No footsteps, no doorways opening or closing. It became just like the man had vanished into skinny air. He picked up the phone again. This time, the display screen changed into black. No video, no recent calls, not anything. He attempted urgent buttons, but the telephone didn't respond. It wouldn't even flip off. Then, it vibrated once, and a single textual content message seemed, "You have got 3 days. Say your goodbyes." James stumbled again, nearly tripping over the brink of the platform. Changed into this a joke? A prank? Some twisted viral video? He left the station and rushed home, slightly in a position to speak whilst he were given there. His spouse, alarmed by means of his expression, asked what befell. However, how ought to he provide an explanation for it? That he borrowed a stranger's telephone, and noticed a funeral, his own. That he were warned, that someone, or something, knew the precise moment he would die, and the clock had already started ticking. The subsequent morning, James didn't visit paintings. He didn't eat, didn't sleep, simply sat on the kitchen table, watching his phone. Charged now, fully functional. No strange movies, no texts. However, his mind couldn't permit pass of what he saw. 3 days. He saved replaying the priest's phrases in his head, the expressions on his loved ones' faces. It felt too actual to be a hallucination. By using the second 1 day, James was unraveling. Every sound made him leap. Each shadow appeared like a chance. He prevented cars, averted staircases, even unplugged the microwave, fearing a few freak accident. His spouse, Emily, tried to consolation him, however he wouldn't speak. Finally, he told her the whole thing. She stared in disbelief, then lightly said, "James, you're just exhausted. Your mind's playing hints." However, deep down, he knew it wasn't a trick. The message changed into clean. He became dwelling on borrowed time. That night, he lay in mattress with Emily asleep beside him. And for the first time, for the reason that caution, he allowed his thoughts wander. What if it simply become proper? What if you have been given just 3 days to stay? How could you spend them? He got off the bed quietly, went to the living room, and made a list. He known as his brother, advised him he cherished him, wrote an email to his high college pal he hadn't spoken to in years, donated to a youngsters' health center he surpassed every day but by no means entered, took plants to his mother's grave. He didn't tell each person why. However, every motion, each phrase, had weight now. Day 3 came, and James awakened with an odd peace in his chest. He dressed in his preferred shirt, made breakfast for his wife, smiled greater than he had in months. Then, around 4:17 p.m., the precise time the funeral video had shown, he walked out of doors. He stood at the sidewalk, waiting. Nothing. No vehicle. No lightning. No disintegrate. Just wind. The minutes passed. Then an hour. Then evening fell. He turned into alive. For the first time in days, James laughed. A deep, messy, emotional giggle. Had it been imaginative and prescient? A caution? Or just a peculiar dream that modified the whole lot? Whatever it changed into, he knew this. He changed into now not the same guy who had borrowed a stranger's telephone, and simply as he grew to become, to move again, inner, a vibration in his pocket. He pulled out his smartphone, a new text message. No wide variety, simply 4 words. Now you understand time. He stared on the screen for a long time, then smiled. No longer out of worry, however out of clarity. Every now and then, dying isn't the real caution. Wasting your life is. And James? He had subsequently began dwelling. It began with something as simple as a dead telephone battery. James had simply completed work late and changed into rushing to seize the ultimate teach home. His telephone had died hours in the past. No charger, no way to name a cab, no manner to test the teach agenda. The station changed into almost empty, dimly lit and eerily quiet. As he appeared around for assist, he spotted a person sitting alone on a bench, scrolling through his smartphone. James hesitated for a moment, but approached. "Hey man, sorry to trouble you," he stated. "My phone's useless. Should I simply borrow yours for a second to call my wife?" The person appeared up slowly. He had faded pores and skin, worn-out eyes, and an expression that didn't pretty suit the moment. However, he nodded silently and acceded over his smartphone. A child rode past on a bicycle and smiled at him. James smiled returned. It felt actual. The entirety suddenly felt more vivid, more precious. He never noticed the stranger with the cell phone once more. But something inside James had changed. He quit the task he hated, referred to as his sister, forgave antique grudges, and started portray once more, the one component that ever added him peace. Maybe the funeral wasn't a prophecy. Maybe it became a check. And James subsequently passed. The textual content stayed on his smartphone as a reminder. You have been in no way supposed to die that day. You have been intended to stay. Fade out.